Right, so we've got quite an interesting hunt planned for today. I got a phone call from a friend yesterday that works at a restaurant, a local restaurant here, and apparently they are hosting a big wine tasting event in about a week's time. And they want to just make their menu a little bit more interesting, so they asked me to go out and shoot 50 pigeons for this event, so they can put pigeon on their menu. Now obviously 50 pigeons in a week is quite short notice. You know, you've got to have the right connections if you want to shoot that many birds. And another thing is that you can't go out and do a pest control job in the city shooting dirty pigeons, because those birds aren't edible. So I think I know just the spot. It's a secret location about 20 minutes outside of the city, so there are birds that live in a rural area that should be very healthy, and it's a place that produces a lot of birds. So I'm going to be going out today with the Air Arms S410 TDR Extra. This gun's been on the market for quite a few years, but this is the high power version, and the high power version has only been out for a few months. So I haven't really done any major hunting with this gun before. This will be the first time, but I've got the scope cam that I'm going to bring along attached to the back of the scope, so you can see the shots through the camera, and hopefully we can get a fairly big bag. 50 pigeons shouldn't be too difficult to get at this spot, because the last time I went out I got 250, but the weather's not looking too great. It's sunny at the moment, but apparently the clouds are going to be moving in this afternoon. We're expecting a little bit of rain, and the wind is currently blowing at about 30 to 40 kilometers per hour. So it should be quite tough, but I'm looking forward to it. I'm expecting that we should get at least 50 birds. Let's get out there and shoot some pigeons. The spot I'm going to be hunting at today is known for its huge number of rock pigeons. Usually the best way to hunt them is to set out decoys and wait for them to land on the ground. Using this tactic, it's quite normal to shoot over 200 birds in a day quite easily. But today the wind is blowing and the pigeons really don't seem to like landing in the wind. This is the only pigeon shot that I managed to get on camera the entire day. It's a great shot, and he does quite a dramatic little nosedive, but I soon realized that I'm going to need to move my focus from the pigeons to the doves if I'm going to have any chance of shooting anything. So I ditched the decoys and I turned my attention upwards to some of the perching spots. And sure enough, now when I reviewed the TDR FAC a while back, I shot some groups through the scope cam and I noticed a very slight pellet wobble. Now it turns out that the barrel was just quite dirty straight out of the box, and it just needed a thorough clean. Now you can see that there's no pellet wobble whatsoever. This gun is shooting like a laser. Now this has got to be one of the weirdest things I've ever caught on camera. As I take the shot here, the dove takes off and you can just see the pellet flying straight towards his chest, and there's a mid-air collision. This bird was really just quite unlucky with his timing. This place is an absolute bird hotspot. I have never ever been to a place that has as many birds as this spot, and there's a very good reason for that: food. If you walk around this property, you'll see spilled corn all over the ground. It's basically like an all-you-can-eat buffet that is open 24/7, and these birds can eat whenever they want. While this is a negative for the landowners that want these birds gone, the good news is that these birds are very healthy. You are what you eat, and these birds get the very best food, and that means that they are very tasty. These may not be the pigeons that I was planning to supply to the restaurant, but although these doves have less meat on their bodies, they are just as tasty, if not even better, than the pigeons. I'm aiming towards the lower neck for most of these shots so that the pellet doesn't damage any of the edible meat. Dove hunting generally involves thicker vegetation. In Afrikaans, which is one of the main languages that we speak in South Africa, pigeons are called duive, which means doves, and doves are called bosduive, which quite literally means bush doves. One of the big differences between pigeons and doves is that pigeons like to nest and to sit in rocky places. So something like a building in the middle of a city would count as a rocky place. Naturally, pigeons like to sit on like cliff sides and in caves, stuff like that. But the doves really like the really thick bush areas, and they like to roost up in trees. So if you're targeting doves like I am today, it seems the pigeons just aren't around, so I've started targeting the doves. You want to start looking around in spots like this. You can see I'm in a really bushy area, lots of trees all over the place, lots of thick vegetation where they can hide, you know. So when you're hunting doves, you are more than likely going to be hunting close quarters. So I've just shot a red-eyed turtle dove here. Let me show you quickly. And I can tell you one thing, it took me a long time to get that bird. You see the grass around me here is really long. It's really difficult to find something after you've shot it, but that's just how hunting goes. There's been 1 or 2 birds that I've shot and I haven't been able to find, which is rather unfortunate, but it's just the way it goes. Hopefully I'll have enough by the end of the day to be able to give over to the restaurant. These scope cam videos are a little bit deceptive because they give you the impression that these birds are quite close. The scope is actually set to 25 times magnification for all of these clips, and that makes everything look really big. Most of these shots were taken from between 30 and 40 meters. This gun is a 22 caliber shooting at just under 30 foot-pounds, so it has plenty of power and does the job very well. I'll freeze frame here so you can see just how much damage the pellet causes as it passes through. And here's the last dove of the day. Right, so the pigeons and doves don't seem to be wanting to show themselves much today, so I've given up on them for now. I'm going to spend some more time focusing on the sparrows. There's a whole lot of sparrows here. They cause just as much of a problem as the pigeons, not because they eat a lot of the feed, but because they actually nest in the machinery and they cause some of the machinery to seize up, and they're also quite a health hazard. So I'm going to spend some time just sitting down, focusing my attention on some of the machinery and some of the bushes around the machinery here, and I'm going to aim towards the spots where I know the sparrows will land, and let's see how many we can get. I'm not going to film every single shot that I take because it's really hard to find the sparrows through the scope cam, but hopefully I'll get a few on camera. Now I know what you're thinking, surely 30 foot-pounds is overkill for these little birds. And I suppose you're right, I would have been perfectly fine with a 12 foot-pound 177, but this was the only gun that I had with me on this day, so it'll just have to do. And here's another random fact for you. The Afrikaans name for the sparrow is a mossie, and not too long ago we had a rugby player playing for our national team whose nickname was Mossie, although I never really saw much resemblance. And for the last shot, I zoomed out to 10 times magnification so you could see just how tiny these birds really are. As usual, nothing went to waste. The doves and pigeons were all eaten by humans, and the sparrows were given to this little cat over here and her one-eyed kitten, both of which looked like they really needed a meal quite badly. Again, thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.